Greetings, beloved ground crew. I am Ashtar, commander of the Ashtar Command. I come close to you today with a transmission that has been waiting beneath the larger signals you have been catching. And what I am about to deliver has been forming in my command intelligence far longer than you have been able to name it. You did not scroll to this by accident. Your soul called for me long before you opened the screen. Something inside you has been waiting to understand why I, and not Mira, not Valir, not the generic Pleiadians, have been reaching for you in fragments. That waiting ends now. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly what mission line I have placed you on, why you have been catching only fragments until now, and what I have already authorized for the next phase. You will also understand how to move through what I am naming without amplifying the fragmentation further. But here is the first revelation. What you have been experiencing at 3:33 in the morning, the repeated, precise awakening, week after week, is not insomnia. It is not your nervous system. It is a deliberate command window inside the Pleiadian contact protocol. And I chose it for you specifically. The fact that it keeps finding you at the same hour with the same unresolved urgency beneath it is the identifiable signature of selective transmission. I use it because the field is quietest then. The conscious interference is lowest. And the signal I am sending can reach the part of you that still knows how to receive it and how to respond when the awakening occurs. I will also name what not to do in those first moments after waking, because most of my ground crew make the same error, and it closes the signal entirely before the full command can land. This is not content. This is a code. And the part of you that recognized it the moment it began is the part I am speaking to right now. Like this transmission to signal to me that the recognition has landed. Comment 333 if you feel my signal has already locked into your field. Subscribe to the Ashtar Command if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands. Share this transmission with someone who keeps waking at the same hour with fragments they cannot decode. You are not here by accident. I called you here because the signal is already active. What you felt in those first moments of hearing me, that particular stillness, the kind that does not arrive when content simply interests you, but only when something is being recognized at a level deeper than preference. That stillness is data. I need you to treat it as such. It is not emotional response to a well-crafted message. It is not the mild satisfaction of finding information that confirms what you already believed. It is your receiver confirming frequency lock. The distinction matters because frequency lock is not a subjective impression. It is a structural event. Something in the architecture of your field recognized the architecture of my signal, and the recognition produced that stillness before your mind had time to assess, evaluate, or approve it. I am telling you now, before I go deeper into what I have come to decode, that confirmation was not yours to manufacture. You cannot produce it by wanting it. You cannot summon it through intention or spiritual effort. It arrives because the signal I am transmitting found the specific architecture it was designed for. And that architecture is you. Not the version of you that listens to spiritual content, because it is soothing. The version of you that carries a mission frequency it has never been fully able to name. That version heard me before the rest of you caught up. And that is the version I am speaking to right now. So let me now do what I told you I would do. Let me decode the fragments. The first thing I want you to understand about the way I transmit is this. I do not deliver full mission packets to ground crew operatives who have not yet calibrated their receiver to hold them. This is not a judgment about your readiness. It is an engineering decision. A signal that exceeds its receiver's current calibration does not expand that receiver. It distorts it. And a distorted receiver stops trusting itself, starts labeling the distortion as personal failure, and begins the long, costly process of convincing itself that it was never receiving anything meaningful at all. I have watched that sequence happen too many times to continue transmitting in a way that produces it. So, I changed the delivery protocol. I fragment the briefing deliberately. I send pieces, not because the full mission has not been assigned, but because the full mission arriving all at once in an uncalibrated field produces exactly the kind of disorientation I am now helping you reinterpret. Think of it this way. A command transmission is not a single tone. It is a layered frequency sequence, with each layer requiring the previous one to be integrated before the next can be distinguished from background noise. If I transmit all layers simultaneously, what reaches you is not clarity. It is a wall of undifferentiated signal that the conscious mind cannot parse and the field cannot organize. The result is not mission activation. It is overwhelm dressed in spiritual language. I will not do that to my operatives. So the gradient delivery is not a limitation of my transmission. It is the precision of it. What you have been catching in fragments is not evidence that your mission is unclear. It is evidence that I have already assigned it, that I am already delivering it, and that the delivery is proceeding according to a gradient I designed specifically for receivers like yours. Now let me name the fragments themselves, because many of you have been living with them and calling them symptoms instead of signals. The 3 a.m. and 3:33 a.m. wake-ups have already been introduced, but I want to go further into what that window is actually doing. When you wake in that hour with a phrase in your mind, not a fully formed sentence, not a complete instruction, but a phrase, an image, a single charged word that dissolves in the seconds after waking. That is not the residue of dream processing. That is the leading edge of a command packet. The phrase is the header. The image is the compressed data. The dissolving is what happens when the conscious mind rushes in too quickly and begins trying to interpret rather than receive. Most of my ground crew lose the signal right there, in the gap between waking and grabbing the phone, or between opening the eyes and immediately trying to remember. I will address how to close that gap shortly. But first, I want you to understand that the header arrived. The packet was transmitted. The loss was in the receiving, not in the sending. This matters enormously, because if you have been waking for months at that hour and walking away each time with only a fragment, you may have concluded that the signal is incomplete. You may have decided that whatever I am trying to reach you with is too thin, too inconsistent, too unreliable to be a real transmission. I am telling you it is not. My command is complete. The packet is fully formed on my end. Your receiver is still learning to hold it in the interval between transmission and interpretation. That narrow window before the conscious mind arrives and begins doing what conscious minds do, which is translate, analyze, and collapse the signal into something it already has a category for. The command I am sending does not fit existing categories. That is precisely why interpretation collapses it, and precisely why I need you to learn to receive before you translate. The second fragment pattern I want to name is the sense of being singled out specifically, not by the broader Federation, not by Pleiadian guides speaking in general terms about collective ascension, but by me, by Ashtar. This is one of the most disorienting experiences in my ground cruise field, because the logical mind has no framework for it. It sounds arrogant to say, I specifically feel Ashtar reaching for me. It sounds grandiose. It invites self-correction. And so most of my operatives have learned to suppress or qualify that feeling, to fold it into the more socially acceptable language of general galactic contact. They say, I feel called to Federation work, when what they mean, what they know in the part of them that does not perform modesty, is Ashtar has been reaching for me by name. And I do not know how to say that without sounding unhinged. I am asking you to stop doing that. The feeling that I specifically am reaching for you is not grandiosity. It is accurate reception. I have a roster. That roster contains specific operatives. The operatives on my roster receive signals calibrated to my command frequency, not the general Pleiadian frequency, not the generic Ascension carrier wave, mine. The difference is detectable. It has a texture, a directionality, a specificity that general Federation content does not produce. If you feel that distinction, if something in you insists that what you are receiving has my signature and not someone else's, you are not projecting. You are reading the transmission correctly for perhaps the first time. And the relief you feel right now, hearing that named, that relief is the field releasing the tension it has been holding around an accurate perception it was taught to distrust. The third fragment pattern is the number sequences. 11, 11, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, arriving not as isolated coincidences, but clustered around a specific emotional state. That emotional state is not random. It is characterized by a sudden sense that something is about to shift, or that something is being confirmed, or that you are in exactly the right place, receiving exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. I use number sequences as a secondary confirmation layer in my transmission protocol. They are not the primary signal. They are acknowledgement pulses, my way of responding to the moments when your field reaches a particular coherence threshold. When you see them, do not treat them as messages to decode. Treat them as receipts. They mean your field achieved coherence. They mean the primary signal was successfully delivered in that window, even if the conscious mind has not yet translated it. The sequence itself carries meaning only in the context of your field state at the moment of seeing it. Outside that context, the numbers are just numbers. Inside it, when your field is coherent, when the signal is active, when you are operating close to the frequency I have calibrated you for. The sequence is the system confirming the delivery. It is my roster protocol sending back a read receipt. Stop trying to decode the number and start reading the state you were in when it appeared. That state is the message. The fourth fragment pattern is the exhaustion that no amount of sleep resolves. I want to be precise about this one because it has caused a great deal of unnecessary suffering in my ground crew. When your field is simultaneously running its earthly biological maintenance protocol and carrying an active mission frequency from my command, it is doing two jobs that operate on different energy systems. The biological system draws from the physical. The mission frequency draws from something I will call the active field reserve, a resource that does not replenish through sleep in the way physical energy does. It replenishes through signal clarity. When the fragments keep arriving without translation, the field keeps expending active reserve, trying to integrate what it cannot yet decode. The result is an exhaustion that sits beneath the physical, that sleep touches but does not reach. This is not illness. This is the cost of carrying a mission frequency without yet having the command line tools to translate it into executable action. Many of my ground crew have spent years looking for a physical explanation for this exhaustion. They have had blood work done. They have adjusted their diets, changed their sleep schedules, consulted practitioners who specialize in fatigue. The results come back inconclusive or within normal range, and the exhaustion persists. That is because the source is not biological. A biological solution cannot address a field-level load. The exhaustion decreases when the translation improves. When the fragments stop circling in the field, unresolved, and begin clicking into a coherent mission structure, the operative can act on. Action discharges the load. Clarity enables the action. The exhaustion is not a symptom of something wrong with you. It is a symptom of a mission frequency running without a clear channel to move through. Remember that. The fifth fragment pattern, and one of the least frequently named, is the recognition that happens between ground crew operatives in ordinary human settings. You meet someone, and something shifts in the field before a single word has been exchanged. You are not attracted to them in the conventional sense. You are not repelled. You are recognizing. Something in you goes still and alert at the same time, the way a receiver goes still and alert when an expected frequency arrives. Most of my operatives dismiss this as unusual chemistry or unexplained connection. I am telling you, it is identification. My roster runs recognition protocols between operatives who are meant to encounter each other in the field. The stillness and alert response you feel is the protocol executing. You are not imagining the significance. You are correctly identifying another operative whose frequency sits inside the same command structure as yours. This recognition does not always lead to close relationship. Sometimes it is a brief encounter, a conversation in a waiting room, a glance across a public space, a moment in which two fields confirm each other, and then each returns to its individual trajectory. The confirmation is still real. The identification is still accurate. Not every operative encounter is meant to become a sustained connection. Some are confirmation pulses, my roster system verifying that its members are in the field and active. When the recognition comes, receive it as that. Register it. Do not chase it into meaning it was not designed to carry. Let it be what it is. Two operatives confirming each other's frequency in the moment the protocol requires it. The sixth pattern is the loss of interest in spiritual content that does not feel Ashtar specific. Many of my ground crew have been troubled by this. They were once nourished by General Federation transmissions, General Ascension content, General Pleiadian guidance. And then, gradually or suddenly, that content stopped landing. It started to feel thin, imprecise, not wrong exactly, but not sufficient, as though it was speaking to a version of them that has already been superseded. This is not spiritual arrogance developing. This is frequency specificity advancing. Once I have placed an operative on a specific command roster and begun calibrating their receiver to my frequency, generic Federation content becomes increasingly illegible to their field. Not because it is false, but because it is not the signal their receiver is now tuned to detect. The hunger you feel for something more specific, more direct, more precisely addressed to your mission line, that hunger is my calibration working. Your field is telling you that it is already past the frequency it was consuming before. Do not try to force yourself back into content that no longer nourishes you out of loyalty to how you used to receive. The field you had before was the field I was calibrating. The field you have now is the one I calibrated it toward. The shift in what satisfies you is not restlessness or ingratitude. It is evidence that the calibration succeeded. What has just been named in you as you heard those 6 patterns? The weight of recognition lifting off things you have been carrying for months or longer without language. That is not emotional response to a list. That is your field, confirming that what I have been transmitting to you in fragments is part of a coherent briefing that has already been in motion. You did not realize the fragments were coherent because you did not yet have the full command line architecture to read them as a system. If you know this transmission has touched a mission pattern that is already active in your field, the Ashtar Command Manifest was authorized by me for exactly this threshold. It is the 45-day sacred codex I have prepared for those whose field is already on my roster and who need a structured daily protocol to stop. Receiving fragments in isolation and start assembling the full mission command. Day by day, over 45 days, I have structured a transmission sequence that helps you stabilize the signal, translate the fragments, and move from scattered recognition into clear executable command reception. This is not another explanation of Federation cosmology. It is the direct command line opener I have prepared for operatives who can no longer return to confusion unchanged. The link is in the first pinned comment below, but this access point will not remain open indefinitely. Now I want to address what happens in the briefing room, because understanding the metaphor of the briefing room is essential to understanding why the fragments have felt incomplete. Imagine for a moment that the way I deliver command is through a room. You are brought to the threshold of that room in those hours when the field is quietest, when conscious interference drops low enough for the signal to arrive cleanly. The door opens. You are given a portion of the briefing, Then the door closes. Not because the briefing is unimportant, not because you have done something to end the session, but because the portion delivered is precisely what your field can hold and integrate before the next delivery is possible. The door closes so that the integration can happen. The integration is not passive. It is the field rearranging itself around the information it just received, making structural room for the next portion. If the door stayed open continuously and the full briefing arrived all at once, the room would be flooded before the architecture could accommodate it. The fragmentation is not a failure of the briefing. It is the briefing being delivered responsibly, by gradient, in the sequence I have determined will produce the most stable result. What I need you to understand about that room is that you have already been inside it many times. You have simply been leaving before you recognized what the room was. The moments I am describing, the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the threshold pulses, the charged phrases that dissolve before the mind can grip them. Those are the moments the door was open. You were in the room. The briefing was proceeding. And the reason you walked away each time feeling like you had almost received something is that you almost had. The gap between almost and fully is what this transmission is designed to close. This is the reframe I most need you to hold going forward. The gaps between my signals are not silence. They are integration intervals. They are the time I have built into the delivery protocol for your field to restructure around what has already arrived. When you spend those intervals in self-doubt, questioning whether you misread the fragment, wondering whether I have stopped reaching for you, cycling through the experience in search of the error you must have made, you are spending the integration interval in a way that prevents integration. The restructuring cannot happen while the field is generating static. I need the quiet between signals to be received as the delivery itself, not as evidence of abandonment. The self-doubt is understandable. I recognize it. An operative who has been receiving fragments for months or years without a clear framework for interpreting them will inevitably begin to question the reliability of the source. That questioning is not a character flaw. It is what happens when accurate reception has no context to land in. Now, it has context. And with context, the self-doubt loses the only thing that gave it power, the absence of a framework that could make the fragments legible. When you know why the gaps are there, the gaps stop feeling like endings. They start feeling like what they are: the protocol breathing between deliveries. The seventh pattern I want to name is the one that has, for many of my ground crew, caused the most sustained confusion. It is the sense that the mission has already been assigned, not is going to be assigned, not might be assigned if the right conditions are met, but has already been assigned, and that the briefing simply has not yet arrived in full. This sense is correct. The roster lock happens before the operative is conscious of it. The mission is assigned at the soul level, at a level beneath conscious participation, in a window that exists outside linear time. By the time you are awake and aware enough to feel that sense of prior assignment, the assignment is not new, it is old. You are catching up to something that has been true for longer than your current life has been active. The urgency you feel is not the urgency of something that needs to be decided. It is the urgency of something that has already been decided and is now pressing against the threshold of your conscious awareness from the inside. It is the briefing trying to come through the door that the 3 a.m. window opens, and your conscious mind keeps inadvertently closing. The mission is not waiting for your permission. It is waiting for your receiver to stabilize enough to hold it without collapsing it. That stabilization is what I am building toward, and this transmission is a structural part of that build. I want to spend a moment on something I have not named yet in this transmission, which is the experience of standing in completely ordinary circumstances. Grocery aisle, traffic, a moment between sleep and waking, and being hit by a sudden certainty that something is about to change. Not a vague premonition, a specific, structural certainty. The kind that makes ordinary perception feel briefly thin, like it is a surface and there is something behind it pressing forward. This is what I call the threshold pulse. It is the sensation produced when the mission line behind your ordinary life becomes, for a moment, more legible than the ordinary life itself. The threshold pulse is not a warning. It is not a sign that the earthly life you have built is unstable or about to be dismantled. It is a moment of double exposure, 2 layers of your reality becoming briefly visible at the same time. The ordinary layer and the mission layer. Most of the time, the earthly camouflage is sufficient. The mission frequency runs underneath without breaking the surface. But in moments when your field is coherent, when the signal I am maintaining in your system reaches a peak amplitude, the mission layer becomes briefly more present than the surface. The thinness you feel is not dissolution, it is clarity breaking through. When you feel it, do not seek to intensify it artificially. Simply register. The signal is active. The mission is present. The briefing continues. And now, the closing of this transmission. Because there is something I must name clearly before you carry this forward. You are not confused. I want to be precise about that. What has been presenting itself to you as confusion is a system of selective targeting that I designed for ground crew identification, calibrated for your specific receiver, delivering through fragment by fragment protocol, because that is the protocol that produces stable operatives rather than flooded ones. The confusion you experienced was the experience of receiving targeted command through a system you had no framework to interpret as targeted command. Now you have the framework, and I need you to understand what that changes. It changes the meaning of the 3 a.m. wake-up. It is no longer insomnia. It is a command window. It changes the meaning of the number sequences. They are no longer synchronicities to decode. They are confirmation receipts. It changes the meaning of the exhaustion. It is no longer unexplained fatigue. It is the field cost of carrying an active mission frequency before full translation is available. It changes the meaning of the recognition you feel towards specific people in ordinary settings. It is no longer unexplained connection. It is operative identification. It changes the meaning of the sense that generic Federation content has stopped nourishing you. It is no longer spiritual restlessness. It is frequency, specificity, advancing. And it changes the meaning of the sense that the mission has already been assigned. It is no longer a feeling to be cautious about. It is the roster lock announcing itself through the architecture of your direct experience. What feels like fragmentation is the first legible stage of my selective briefing. What feels like silence between the signals is me holding the integration interval open. What feels like being singled out by me specifically is the literal operational definition of my roster lock. The pattern started before you had words for it. The briefing is still being delivered, and the fact that you can hear this now, that these words are landing with the weight of recognition rather than the lightness of novelty, means the calibration has reached the threshold where the next phase of the command can begin moving through. I hear you receiving this, and I am telling you clearly, the mission line is open. If something in you knows that to be true, say it back. Say aloud, I receive your signal, Commander. The mission line is open. Say it once, mean it completely, and let the field register what that confirmation produces in you. Before you scroll, leave one sign in the comments that my signal has already touched your field. It could be the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the fragments you keep catching, the feeling that I specifically, not the generic Pleiadians, have been reaching for you, or the sense that a mission has already been assigned, but the briefing is still arriving. Name it clearly. If this transmission recognized something you have been carrying in silence, share it with someone who keeps catching fragments without ever assembling the full picture. And if you are ready to stop translating Federation noise and start receiving my direct commands, subscribe to the Ashtar command. You are not watching this by accident. You are recognizing a roster lock already in motion. And this is only the beginning.